Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Brian here. I wanted to make this video talking about the truth of Nikki Haley. The truth of Nikki Haley. So initially what we're going to talk about in this video is some of the policies she's running on, the way she's been acting, her record, and many other things that we are going to bring up in this video. To just let everyone know the truth, because she's being painted as this, as this hero, as the Supergirl, Superman, whatever you want to call it, as the savior of the Republican Party of America. So I want to make this video starting with the truth. Now listen, before I get into the criticism, I'm going to start positive. I am. Nikki Haley, and I don't remember if it was 2015 or 2016, but she took the Confederate flag off their state capitol. She was the one that led that when she was governor of South Carolina, and, I can continuously praise her for that. I remember watching that on the news. I was a little kid. I don't remember if it was 2015, I was 10. If it was 2014, I was 9. But I remember her doing that. As a little kid, it was inspirational. It really was. It was something, doing like stopping racism. That flag was on there too long. Should have never been on there. It was the definition. The Confederate flag is the definition of racism. It shouldn't have been there. And I can appreciate her for doing that. Now, and, I will give her another thing is, she's a very much accomplished woman, two-term governor, UN ambassador, she's a presidential candidate. She's a very much accomplished woman. But what I want to start getting into the truths, the hard truths about her record and her policies and her herself. The hard truths are, so yes, so talking about the Confederate flag, she took that down. She did. That was amazing. But 2 to 3 years later, after taking it down, you know what she was saying? She was saying the Confederate flag is not racist. The people that used it were racist. Now, to an extent that is true, but the Confederate flag is a symbol of racism. There's some people that try to argue, well, the Nazi flag wasn't racism, which technically the Nazi flag, if you really look into the history of it, it was a peace symbol, I believe, with Buddhism, but it was used as racism. Like, it's initially, like, for example, if you have a, I don't even know how to explain it. If you have, Jesus, I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this. For example, a can of root beer, and someone murders that. It's like someone's taking over countries in the world and stuff, and they're using it for terrible things. That AW sign is going to be used as wrong. And it is. But she tried saying initially on the news that it was not wrong that she did that. And she even once said that she regretted doing that. Then she goes and brags, well, I did this. Then she said she regretted it. Flip-flopping. Another thing she did was, in 2016, she endorsed Marco Rubio. And she said Donald Trump would never get the Republican nomination, but she was wrong. She was one of the many people that was wrong. But she said even if he would, she would never endorse him or vote for him because he is dangerously inexperienced and he has dangerous policies. She said that not once, multiple times. Then she said in the 2016 process, Donald Trump is very appealing to her. And she flip-flopped. She flipped-flopped throughout his presidency. In fact, she refused to endorse him, I believe. And then she took job as UN ambassador for him. And then resigned. And then after January 6th said Donald Trump failed us and we cannot let him fail us again. Saying that she would never support him again. She said that multiple times. Then she said, oh, if Donald Trump would run for president, I'd never run. Well, boy, wasn't that a lie. He's running and you're running against him. Flip-flopping back and forth. Are you noticing the trend? She's a flip-flopper. Is that really what you want to be president? A flip-flopper? She said this. I don't know the exact story to this, but I know the premise of the story. So, if anyone is familiar with AGP, Angry Grandpa, the YouTuber, Kid Behind the Camera, they lived in a trailer park in South Carolina. It was called Trailwood. So, what ended up happening with Trailwood was, it ended up getting bought by Boeing, the airplane company that manufactured planes, their own airports and all that. It ended up getting bought by Boeing. Boeing initially didn't want the trailer park there. It was a 2 to 3 year battle. Angry Grandpa and the people, the residents, took it to court. They took it to the township, all that. Nikki Haley, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently she could have stopped it. And she didn't stop it. And then, after the whole Boeing thing happened, so initially what happened is, everyone got thrown out of their houses that didn't move out, and they tore down all the trailers, and they put in this airport parking lot or something like that for airplanes. It was horrible. Hundreds of people lost their homes. A community was lost, and it was terrible. AGP made many YouTube videos about this. Go and check them out. AGP versus Trailwood. And Nikki Haley came in and said, Boeing has done a million great things for South Carolina, Not a single person lost a job or a home. All they've done is good things. Boeing has shut down multiple places where they've lost jobs in South Carolina, and Boeing threw out Trailwood when hundreds of people lost their homes. And she's still saying that. I bet AGP would be infuriated. I bet he'd probably fucking run against her. You know, the fact that she's acting like that, think of everybody. She could have stopped hundreds of people from losing their home, and she didn't. Is that the kind of person that you want as commander-in-chief of this country? Is it? And not to mention her corruption. You know, I disagree with Vivek Ramaswamy on many, many different things. I said this in my other video. But he's right about one thing. When he held out that sign and said Nikki is corrupt, he was damn right telling the truth. She is very corrupt. She is initially the Hillary Clinton and the Kamala Harris of the Republican Party. She is. And she's painting herself as this common sense person. Like, she's acting like she has this average life. She doesn't. Her net worth is over $7 million. Her husband makes $800,000 a year. That's not an average life. It's not. Average life is someone who makes $40,000 a year and, you know, can barely pay their bills. So, you know, she's just a horrible person. And then she goes to each state. She goes to New Hampshire and says, listen, I believe that abortion is a state issue, which it is, in my opinion. But she said, I believe abortion is a state issue. I would never, one, it would never pass. And two, even if it would, I'd veto it. I would never sign that into law. She goes to South Carolina and says, of course I would. There's no tolerance. I would sign a national 6-week abortion ban. And then she goes to Iowa and says, I would not tolerate abortion at all. I'd sign a national ban. You notice that? Going to 3 different states and making 3 different promises. She is not the person to do it. Now listen, the other candidates have a lot of problems. And I will say this, I would rather have Nikki Haley over Trump and Biden, even though she's a coward and she's corrupt. I would. I'd rather have Haley over Trump and Biden. And I'd rather have her over Ramaswamy, too. But the premise is, she is so corrupt and dangerous. Not to mention, Ramaswamy makes this good point, too. Listen, Chris Christie's a little bit of a war hawk. He wants to supply funding and stuff, but she literally wants to give away 90% of our military supplies to Ukraine. And she wants to fund Ukraine and Israel's wars. And she is going to be the person, mark my words, if she becomes president, which I don't see happening, but if she does, and World War III would break out, the United States is going to be involved because of her. Because she is somebody who is not going to, you know, settle for whatever just to get involved. She's a war hawk. Now she paints herself as, I'm a Ronald Reagan Republican, I'm a Lincoln Republican, I'm a Trump Republican, I'm an establishment Republican, I'm Free Tea Party. She's corrupt. Nikki is corrupt. Repeating the words of Vivek Ramaswamy. She is severely corrupt. Now, the fundamental system is, she's being painted as the latest rival to Trump. And I think that she is in a way. But there's no way that someone like this, if they become president, is not going to harm this country. She's a terrible woman. I'm sure she's a nice lady. But to let them hundreds of people lose their homes, and to say Boeing didn't cost anyone their home, it's just sad. And plus, she's bought and paid for by China. She just sucks. So please, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I would highly recommend you do not vote for Nikki Haley. Because she is a coward, and a flip-flopper, and she's extremely corrupt. So I'd recommend you don't vote for Nikki Haley. Now listen, there's a lot of people I'd much rather have her over, such as Trump, such as Biden, I guess such as Ramaswamy, but I would just not take her. I would say probably ranking the Republican candidates, she's probably pretty down there, pretty low. I would say probably Christie's at number 1 for me, Asa Hutchins is at number 3, DeSantis is at number 4, Haley's at number 5, Christie's at number 1, Hutchins is at number 2, DeSantis is at number 3, Nikki's at number 4, Vivek Ramaswamy's at number 5, and Trump's at 6. But I'm just warning everyone against her. She's extremely corrupt. So please don't let her lies fool you. Because she's no better than the Democrats or any other Republicans. She's no better. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. That's it for this video. Please like this video. Please share this video. Please leave a comment on this video. And most importantly, please subscribe to the channel. And even more importantly, don't buy Nikki Haley or any other lying politician's crap. Bye everybody.